Oh, spin the wheel. Bunbury's on. What are you talking about? Oh. Working. Everything's working. Tab. Tab. There can't be many left at Bunbury. 3 left. All the real racing's finished. Races are this week. Whoa. Manikato, Fee and Scarborough, Stock Stakes, Stud Stakes. Golden Roses this week. Colin Stephen, Golden Pendant, Heritage Stakes, Shannon Stakes. Jesus Christ. How's it hanging? Big cock. If there's any mention of kidney stones, I'm logging out the crow. Holy crap, there's some races to deal with this week. Anyway, that's all right. I'll get through these as quick as I can. Main use. If you're not my ratings guy, what's your... If you're not a ratings guy, what's your... I'll tell you exactly how I use it, right? I use the post-race stuff more than the pre-race stuff. So this is the post-race stuff you get. So simply you can get it put into sectionals or you can get it adjusted to lengths. So RLD is run length difference or something like that. So that's class basically. So green's good, red's bad, but explainable by section. So leader to the 800, leaders to the 600, leader from the 600, how many lengths above or below for that grade they've gone to par. So that helps me sort out tempos quickly. This is his pattern thing, which is the not through, so but it tells you sort of lanes roughly. I normally do that myself, but sort of double check against his where they were in the run, sort of how far from the leader. So it helps you find bias. Other breakdowns in section. So I use that stuff more for a meeting like today. The ratings help, like are a guide, but because I think tempo and other things have such a big factor on ratings, I like to know what other people are likely going to think because most of these ratings have similar numbers, but I just don't use them as concrete as some others. Like I don't just go, oh, this is what this can do, this is what that can do, this is what the race will be. I tend to use them so I know what other people will be thinking more than what I'll be thinking, if that makes sense. I don't think they don't have a place. I just don't put a huge bearing on them because I think most other people do. So that negates the advantage in using them. If that makes sense. I'll be on course for the Manikato Grand Final Eve. Is that Friday night? Last time I was there was the night that Timmy destroyed that filly of McAvoy's that had the winner came out of that he rode the other day. Is it Dawn Service or Dawn something? The horse of Go Bloodstocks of Gaze that won in Melbourne the other day. I think it's out of that mare that Timmy rode. She's a really good mare. Should have won the Manikato. All right, let's get into this so I can get into more important things. I honestly don't think there was too much bias there on Saturday. I think it was more tempo related. Obviously, it looked difficult to come from back and wide, but you know, horses like Fangirl certainly made ground. The race where they did have a bit of speed in the race, the Northern thing, what was it called? Sharp Shock missed the start, came home pretty well there, down the middle. So I don't think it was overly a wind issue. If anything, maybe the wind helped the leaders control the race a bit more. Saving ground in the run looked better because the tempos were so slow, I think. I don't reckon. Yeah, Sunlight, that was the one. Yeah, go back and watch the replay of Sunlight and the Manicato. Awesome. Yeah, but I don't think... I think that was more a product of sort of just where they lobbed, right? Maybe they got a little bit of protection from the wind as well. It wasn't as if leaders did great, but I don't think there were too many leaders that were well set up either. So, you know, maybe just off speed with cover was absolutely ideal, and then the tempos did the rest. And a lot of the time it was the right horses finding the right place too. So, anyhow, race one.
The lights on for the valet Graham McNeice midway, and they're ready to go.
So slowly run race, but not ridiculously slow. Interesting horse this. Very difficult to line these sorts of races up, I think. Like what's this, a midway? When they're going up in grade and that sort of thing. So, but this is a 3-year-old having only a few starts. Obviously won a maiden their last up, 61.5, dropped in weight here. I thought it was pretty well placed just to sort of tick over a run. I honestly give this horse a good chance in races like the Spring Champion and Derby, just because we saw those horses in the Guineas Prelude and then the Derby Prelude in Melbourne. They didn't look special to me. BCJW. It's an acronym sort of time, is it? Yeah, so I think the blinkers will come off this horse. I love the way he's jumping. He jumped really well at Morrick Farm as well. I love that in stayers, especially these sorts. Anthony Cummings, you know, he has his lovers, his haters, but he certainly has had a few types like this guy, and these are the ones that seem to continue to improve. He's had a bit of luck with them in big races over the past. He's a horse that certainly is not flashy. He sort of builds. I don't think the blinkers are doing him any favours. I think he waited for them on Saturday a little bit. I think post-race Tim said something similar to that, you know, blinkers probably could come off and give him a better chance to look around once he gets, you know, to 2,000. And I don't think he's going to need the blinkers. And if they help him sort of conserve a little bit more and run the trip out, I think he's going to be pretty good, this horse. Yeah, the Smurf. That was it. It was one of those. If it was a different trainer, this horse would have started very short in this race. It obviously started short enough, $2.90 or whatever it was, but you know, they put up $4 or $5. You expected him to do pretty much exactly what he did. I thought Tim rode him quite well, as in probably worried that the fence might be a little bit smelly. There was a lot of irrigation went on this track, so just to grab hold early rather than go to the front, allow him to be in a position where he chose when to go. Yeah, that really did work out well. They probably dropped anchor a little bit more than what he wanted, and then you sort of had the 3 wide line come around, and you see a horse like Extreme Merger, which sits wide the trip, and then come around and work up outside them. You know, is the horse battling out the final with El Costello. There were a couple of okay runs back in the field. I didn't mind the run of this horse. What's it called? I should get their names right. So this horse is called Humanity. It was first up off a long spell. I think this stable's starting to come good again, Sarah Ryan stable. It was first up off a long break. Thought it trialled quite well, jumped well, and then sort of just got shuffled back. It shuffled back even further. I think it can improve. This horse looks like it definitely wants ground. Flying Bandit, twice now it's sort of been outpaced and then off the bit a long way from home and got home okay. Obviously the slow tempo completely against it. Gold Pattern, I don't know why they decided to go back from the draw, considering it was the fittest horse in the race. Probably I thought it was borderline, you know, suicide for this race to do what they did there, but they made that decision with the change of tactics and stuck to it. Sort of handed the race to El Costello, to be honest. But yeah, he did nothing flashy here. You know, if anything, Timmy probably could have popped 3 wide there. If he saw that horse coming, he probably would have. But as it turned out, he paid no penalty. Ended up on the back of it, and it probably helped him in the long run. He gets there a little bit soon, but he definitely no excuses. I don't think a slowly run mile is going to be this horse's go in life. You know, once he gets to 2,000, a little bit better tempo, he's probably going to be an improved horse. So yeah, a bit of a nothing race, as in not much happens during the run, but you know, if you're looking for a horse that's going to put 5 or 6 on him, it's not going to be this horse, I don't think. But he looks very tough. He looks like he's got gears that he's probably still hit a flat spot and hasn't even got near his top here for mine. And this is Humanity getting home, Flying Bandit. They were okay. State of America always just poking up and doing his thing. But yeah, we didn't learn a lot there. But I think the run was better than what it looked, even though visually everyone would have seen it, that it had every possible chance, and it just didn't look flashy. You know, sort of Corvette, these sorts of horses chasing it home. But yeah, I think he's got plenty of upside once he gets to 2,000, 1,800, 2,000, and then out to even further. I think he's a very dangerous horse. He's only 20 to 1 or something like that for the Derby. I had a quick look. You know, 50 to 1, you'd have a go at him early, I think. I don't think he's a horse that's going to pop up on too many people's radar, sort of heading into next run at worst. And, yeah, so we said Flying Bandit and Humanity can find the right race coming up. Is this the same colours as El Mozillo? I don't think so. I don't think so. Similar, but I don't think so. Yeah. Right, that was it. Race 2. This is another nothing race. Better sort of even tempo. Favourite paraded to me. Just to take note that I thought the favourite paraded a little bit weak behind, and not lame or anything like that. Sort of just looks very big, strong in front type of mare, and then behind just sort of let it down. Doesn't sort of match up, which I don't like. Sort of got the backside of a 1,400 metre miler and the front end of a 1,000 metre horse, which is not usually ideal. Sometimes they grow into it, but this horse certainly hasn't at this stage. It was strange that it sort of trialled after its last run, then had a 2-month break without a trial, showed up here. J-Mac booking was interesting. I thought that was enough to suggest that it was going to be very hard to beat, or the stable thought it was. So I would doubt that the horse had a lot of improvement. Certainly had its chance out in front. As you sort of said, not one leader got home, I don't think. On the day, a lot settled just behind the speed, but not one leader got home. Maybe there's a reason to be a little bit lenient there, but other than that, I thought the horse had its chance. The winner had a perfect run. Patiently waiting Kingston Charm at silly odds in the grade at 1,600. He's yeah, so Kingston Charm was good again. Was that in that race? It's weird. John Thompson's horses just tend to start nice prices, and then that's it. If you're patient and wait for them to find the right race, they certainly, especially lately, airborne. So he's a good stable to follow at the moment. Yeah, that was what scared me. Like, if this horse was as good a horse, or if it wasn't having issues, I think Cody would have had it up and running. Maybe they tried to bluff their way into a Cosy spot, not running it, and that scared me too. I get pretty psychological with Cody's horse. I used to talk to him a lot. I don't talk to him much anymore. So, but I do like to try and get inside his head, because he is a deep thinker. He puts a lot of thought into everything he does. So yeah, I think whether they tried to bluff their way into it or what, I'm not sure. But yeah, she was a little bit disappointing. Perennial did have really good form early. Last prep probably not as good, so it was entitled to be closer to favourite in this race. Yeah, the race was obviously run at just an even to slow tempo. Outside leader ends up running second. 3 wide outside them, holds on for third. Tai Lung, and it's no star. So the race overall is just a highway. Nothing special, I don't think. You know, pass marks for horses like Sting Jet, okay. Nipotino comes down the outside, he was okay. Saratoga Power just in behind them, okay. Yeah, it was just a Akatango. Was it what you see is what you get? They were okay back in the field on a day, you know, where we're saying it's hard to come from back on wide. But this horse sitting wide, no cover, sort of takes away from everything. Tickle Belly was, you know, off the bit on the bend and comes again, nearly wins. Perennial had the best run you've ever seen, sprints through for 200 metres and wins. Leader had a soft run and couldn't go. So I don't think there's any superstars here. Let's just put it that way. I think they'll be competitive in a similar race, and that's about it. Do you want to see No, she's sitting a huge brick on that one. Yeah, well, it was scratched. I didn't hear anything about it. Yeah, I don't know why it was scratched. It did look a nice race for it, but I didn't I didn't see why it was scratched. Race 3, another bit of a nothing race, even tempo. This horse I sort of found, just because it looked a horse that sort of had a one more bit of upside to it. I think this field, apart from Bear on the Loose, are basically the same horse. They're all pretty fit. They're all pretty one-paced, honest type. Snowman obviously coming off a little bit of a setback, had potential for a little bit more upside, but the rest of them sort of Galaron, Flash Feeling, St. Lawrence, Junipal, Miss Uella, they're all the same sort of horse. So floating, I think, was only second up prior to this, third up here. Soft draw, faced the breeze, I think, the other day. So it had a little bit more upside. I was surprised it started 20-1. No surprise to see it go like that. It's a sort of horse that does have a decent turn of foot and a little bit more upside than most of these. Bear on the Loose was first up, had its chance in front, a little bit more one pace, suited out to 2,000 metres. But these horses are... There's not much between them, you know. Like, you're not going to learn much from this, I don't think. I'll have one look at it. But, yeah, it's just all about where these horses draw. I think I call them take turns horses in take turns races. You know, it depends on tempo, where they draw, conditions on the day that decide most of these races. And, yeah, it was just a bit of a silly price floating, all things considered, and probably went a little bit better than I thought it would as well. But, yeah, just a bit of blind squirrel. 20-1 each way chance that poked its head out. So it was a good result, personally, but yeah, I don't think this horse will continue, will peak again off this. Another soft run. It'll run well again next time out floating. But the rest of them are pretty limited, I think. And Bear on the Loose, you know, being first up over a mile, can improve, but I'm not sure that his ceiling is anywhere near as high as maybe what even I thought it was after we saw his first up win with Nash on, when he was arrogant that day, when he sort of rode him up on speed like $1.20 chance, let the field come back to him, come to the middle of the track and run away from him. Second horse came out and won off the back of it as well. So, you know, maybe he's not as good as I thought he was. Snowman okay. The rest very fit and not much upside, I don't think. Matthew Smith, tough stable to find. He's I don't know, his horses are going okay. I agree, like Saturday Metro, hard, but 20-1 definitely is helpful. And you usually do get a price about his horses, which does help. But yeah, not much to be learnt there. Next race. This race was a bit of a quagmire. He's not a shady trainer. He's just I think he's very limited in his ability of really understanding racing. I think he's a guesser. I don't know how he's got as many horses as he does. And he's always got some nice horses, but he's got a lot of horses, so he's entitled to have some nice horses. So yeah, at the start, Sharp Shock misses the kick. The rest basically get their chance. The horse that I think sneakily going along very well and just had basically 2 barrier trials this time in is Hollywood Hero, has drawn horrifically wide on both occasions. So understandable they've ridden this horse conservatively, but is the sort of horse that will poke up. You know, they wouldn't be surprised if it finds a race. They put J-Mac on it, draws gate 4, lands 5th or 6th and runs really well. I think it was a similar sort of setup last time where it went to Canterbury and Tommy Berry actually gave it a really good ride. I think it was Tommy. From memory, it might have been J-Mac, but I think it was Tommy. And, yeah, he's going better. Like, they've just really set him a task here. This is the one race where they do run along a bit. I think Get Along pulled up with an issue, so forgiving of it. Thunder Lip sits outside the leader up in distance, so its run was good. Pure Alpha gets stuck a little bit wide early, but then does get in. It's another horse that's been a little bit disappointing. Cheerful Legend faces the breeze, runs well. Sharp Shock hits the line late. There's a few decent runs here for similar. The winner was well set up, and it's called well timed. Nash, you know, lands in that perfect spot considering the tempo, gets to the outside, and he's obviously a very honest horse. But again, I don't think it's, you know, this is what this horse is. I don't think we see a lot more upside from it. It did work a little bit harder than what I thought first time I watched it pure alpha, so a little bit of a forgive run, but not huge, I don't think. You can see how detached Hollywood Hero is. Basically set an impossible task. So they do run along a bit. Nearly every runner's had their chance. Sort of missed Bustlinger and Anything Goes. I thought could run okay here. They ran okay. Congregation back up in distance ran okay, but you can see absolutely perfect run in transit. Probably needs a little bit further. It's a horse that I wouldn't be, not sacking. But again, this is similar to the last race. A lot of horses with even sort of ability and need a few things to go their way to win races. So well-timed chiming in here. Absolutely perfect run. Pretty boring racing from Saturday, but it gets a little bit better with the better horses coming up. But you see Hollywood Hero closing off quite well down the outside here and basically given a barrier trial. I wish it ran another 3 positions worse. You'd probably get an even better price if it does bob up in the next race, in the right race next time. But I think out of all of these horses, this is the horse that's probably got the most upside next time out because it's had the 2 runs now, literal barrier trials, and ready to peak fitness wise, and really hasn't done anything in the run to sort of hurt it. Whether it gets a couple of points back in its benchmark or not, I'm not sure, but yeah, I could definitely see it winning a race similar to this, just with a nicer draw and a barrier and a jockey change, something like that. Oh, who wrote it? Or Josh wrote it, but yeah, I think it's got 61.5 or something, isn't it? It's got big weight. So many betting from any odds. Well timed. Yeah, well timed was very well back. G Sharp Chop was messy. It's going well. It's run the start before was very good. It's a little hero hard horse to place. Needs around suitable races. I think it got hammered benchmark wise, and that's probably its issue. So what is it got? It's an 82. We'll see one later. Like McHale I wrote down, I think it got something like, what did it get, 19 points or something? It's just stupid. They push so many of these horses to these mid-80, 90 ranges so quickly, and it certainly makes it very tough. But this horse, he's quite consistent, whereas he wins every 1, 2, 3. So he's 2 wins, and then he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 win, 1, 2, 3, 4 win, 1, 2, 3. So now he's 1, 2, 3, 4. He sort of wins every 4th, 5th start. He can run a mile just 1,400 to a mile. Just needs a few things to go his way, and he's certainly hard to beat. He wins with 60 kilos. Yeah, I think he's an interesting horse. YouTube comments aren't going up on your graphic. What does that mean? Up here? I can read them. Paul. So I'll read them out if I don't know why they're not going up. That forwarding bot thing mustn't be working. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's this graphic that they don't go up on. I'll check it out. Yeah, that's true too. What Slow Punter says a little bit. Sort of 2 and 3 year old ratings can really hurt a horse if they don't make a jump. Certainly. So yeah, that is a thing. Not sure if it's a thing with this horse, but it is a thing in general for sure. 16 points, McHale. Just stupid. Well, I'll talk about it when we get there. Just because of the way the race was run. This is a race I think is worth spending some time on. Who was the .com suit who declared McHale at 80? No clue. No clue. I took it in a trotter. I took it in a trotter at 90s, I think, and the trotter got beat. Shout out to Jared Wello for tipping me a slow trotter that led and got beat at $3.20 in New Zealand, which would have been lovely. Anyway, that was what started the firm, I think. A silly little $50 double with a trotter in New Zealand at 90s. I don't know what they bought it into. Anyway, all right, yeah, I think this race is really solid. I did read that CL Wolf's going to the Epsom. Yeah, I wouldn't be going there if it was mine, but I can see what they're sort of aiming at. I just don't think it's a stable that thrives back in distance, but the horse is obviously airborne, had 2 really soft runs, sprint home, so I don't think it's crying out for 2,400 right now, even though I think that's probably what it wants, personally. But, you know, obviously they're listening to J-Mac as well. I see that Chad Schofield's been booked to ride it. That's tricky also. But, yeah, I think this race is the genuine article. I think Elias is the genuine article. I think Golden Path is absolutely flying. Serpentine was good. Zardozi was okay. Land Legend was much better. I think he's dangerous when we're talking big cups races. Land Legend, certainly further. I thought there was decent runs back in the rack from Star of India first up and Trusting You. Yeah, I think this race is going to be a lot of winners come out of it. I think there's going to be big race winners, and I think there's going to be big race contenders, and then we're going to get sort of other horses hanging around this grade or weaker that are going to bob up and run well also. Yeah, Golden Path looks like it's going to run well in a Metrop. I don't think, I believe the plan, from what I'm told for Elias, is that it'll go sort of Caulfield Cup route. I don't think it'll go near a Metrop. It might go sort of wait for age into Caulfield Cup potentially. But that's, you know, wait for confirmation from the stable, that's for sure. But that's what I believe it will do. And, yeah, he's just like a real winner, this horse. Absolutely airborne. Loved, again, that he sort of bounces on speed. He got a little bit keen here, if anything, and then Serpentine sort of gets across and he relaxes. This is a really, you know, Zardozi back up to this distance is certainly a good measuring stick. Golden Path flying, trialled really well in between. Land Legend ridden more forward. CL Wolf off the back of an effortless sort of win. This was a really good test for this horse, I thought. The horse out the back, I'm being really forgiving of, because I think there's so much depth to the front end of this race, and they control the tempo so much that it was nearly impossible for the ones from out the back to run on. So you can be really forgiving, in my opinion, of those that just didn't get a chance to get into the race, because, yeah, I honestly think a horse like Elias is going to run very well in a Caulfield Cup or in a wait for age race next time out, you know, against a Via Sistina or something like that. I give it a genuine chance to be very competitive in a race like that. So, yeah, I do think it's worth dissecting this race a little bit more. Nothing much happens in the run. Sort of Elias gets the perfect run. Zardozi, Golden Path, not too bad. Probably first horse, no cover. Land Legend, much closer. CO Wolf there on the outside. Chayo Wolf. I think this is Star of India and El Bogodogon and Zayrek are out the back there with Trusting You, who I think are all worth forgiving here. Yeah, so they get busy from this point. So they went out, you know, 3.5 lengths low. They probably quickened it up from the 800 on. They come home sort of about 8 lengths above average from the 800 metre mark. They went out about 3.7 slow to the 800. So, you know, not a slow speed, not like something we saw later on. And the time overall is really good. So to me, this is probably the best race of the day on paper, sort of provable. There's a lot of really slow tempos where it's hard to work out what the depth and quality of the races were. But this one, to me, is the race that's got the most guts to it.
A length to Elias, Zardozi the inside, then Golden Path, and now Chayo Wolf getting to the extreme outsiders. Elias takes the lead now at the 250. Elias gets a length clear with Chayo Wolf bridging the margin on the outside. It's Elias and Chayo Wolf, the two favourites fighting it out. Elias the inside at Chayo Wolf. Elias kicking hard and won the Kingston Town.
So yeah, I can see this horse running well. This horse can run well in an Epsom. There's no doubt. I think it's a 2,000 metre plus horse personally, but you know, whatever. He's only a young horse. This bloke may lack the class, but I think he'll run very well in a Metrop if that's the way they go, which is the way I assume they'll go. Serpentine, everyone knows he's sort of super honest first up there, ran really well. Zardozi, every possible. I just think that's as good as she can go, and this bloke here was only second up, and next time out we'll get a really good guide, whether it goes to the Metrop or I assume it goes to the Metrop. And on the way to a sort of a Melbourne Cup. And if he wins a Metrop, I'll never get that win out of my head from last prep. Complete forgive first up and a much better sort of sound out here in a good race. So I think a sit sprint 2000s, not up this horse's alley, 2,400 and above, we're going to see a pretty good horse, I think. El Bodegon's just a nightmare, but that was a complete forgive. Like these are the sort of, we were talking about this before. So these stupid numbers, there's a million numbers, but El Bodegon ran the fastest 8 to the 400 of the day, and that's sort of adjusted for distance and whatever. I don't know how they do that, but CEO Wolf, whatever you want to call it, ran the fastest 800 to the 200 of the day. Another sectional I love, and then sort of the 10th fastest last 200. So he peaked, if anything, and that does. Maybe why they're saying go back to the mile, I'm not sure. But you've got a lot of horses back in the field there. We talked about Zayrek, Trusting You, and Star of India that run really fast sections, 8 to the 2, and got beaten 10 lengths. So to me, there's no downside in being really forgiving of those horses. And then the ones up on speed, as we've sort of talked about, I think they're high-class horses. Who's that? Oh, El Bodegon. Yeah, he's a bit of a punish, El Bodegon, isn't he? J-Mac gifted a 2 wide spot. He was. They certainly let him in there. I've always been of the sly opinion that early quaddie lover. Yeah, I don't think Elias will go to the Metrop. I obviously keep your ear to the ground and make sure to sort of confirm that. But I think it's got 53 kilos in the cup, so I don't really think they're looking for a penalty heading into those races, and I think it'll get into those races. So I would be surprised if they went to the Metro. I don't even know what all this means. Your mate jumping 14 to 21.40. What does that mean? Got one. All right, this is the race of the century. No, got a bit lucky here, but Gringotts is really unlucky. Obviously, and I'm not talking through Hariri. Yeah, well, I think that suits. I don't know where it's in. Is it in on Friday night at the Valley or something? Is it? I'm assuming 21.40. Yeah. So this race is really weird. I know it pulled up lame, but this horse was trialled like a rocket. It's got endless rating. So what I'm saying is here, pocket aside, I'm not talking through my kick at all, even though I had it going for the national debt. When a horse is $6.50 out to $13, it's got endless upside, clear ratings that put it into the finish here. So what I'm looking at I'm looking at it through the eyes of ratings people. It draws gate 1. It's trialled like a rocket against horses that have come out and franked that form. There's absolutely no reason for this horse to be significantly soft in betting. It didn't parade poorly. And when it doubles in price, box seats, looks to the winner and then pulls up lame and gets beaten 11.5. To me, this is a horse that there has to be more questions asked about. I'm whinging to thin air, really, but I just think it was pretty bad. That only got a slight mention, and that saying that it pulled up lame is enough, because to me the betting is the thing that has to be explored. There's no way in the world this horse should have SP'd, I think it was $18, $19, $20 on Betfair, which to me is even scarier than the $13 SP. It says that someone was willing to go 50% above the SP price, which was double the original price, to lay it, and then the horse gets beat 12. I think this is a horse that needs to be thoroughly investigated, what happened in betting and that sort of thing, who laid the horse and at what prices and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's just my whinge. It definitely takes a little bit away from the race. This race was really slowly run. What did they do? They've sort of gone out 7 lengths below and then sprinted home quite quickly from the 800, but overall still slow time, and really the last 600 wasn't that exciting. They've probably come home, 4 lengths above the last 800 after setting a really slow tempo the first half of the race. So, yeah, it's a pretty ugly race. If you're on Gringotts, I feel sorry for you, but I really don't. It should have won for sure. There's a few decent runs here, a few flat runs, all pretty explainable. I think this race will feed sort of Epsoms and things like that, and I can see why a horse like Wolf will be very popular opposed to these sort of horses. Riri Wednesday. Interesting. I'll have a look. Tom Kitten's cat. I think Tom Kitten staying at 1400 second up was basically a barrier trial. I don't think they were too desperate to win. I thought it was a good horse to oppose for all of those reasons. That, you know, if it won this race, it probably gets hammered for an Epsom or whatever they're targeting. I don't really think they know what Tom Kitten is, and I think he ran accordingly. What it's worth, using damage ratings, the horse kept spitting out 30 to 31 in this field. Obviously, no discretion using that though. Yeah, I'm not really worried about that. I don't think. I think it was completely abnormal, the blow, for so many reasons. So first thing that happens, Fearson misses the kick. McHale missed it a little bit too, but gets lucky with that draw and sort of pokes up behind Scarlet. Felix Majestic gets the best run you've ever seen. Tom Kitten goes back. The race is obviously very sloppily run from this point. I was surprised Amenable got a bit further back than what it did. Freedom Rally, it's weird, isn't it, that Tony Gollan, just his horses in Sydney just really seem to struggle. Kintyre ends up wide, no cover the whole way, and sticks on really well. This is Gringotts here. So land in a perfect spot, Gringotts, and then just a victim of circumstance, gets sort of dragged back, held up for momentum, and then gets out too late. Thank God. But, yeah, Cafe Millennium given absolutely no winning chance. Like, this is what annoys me, or not annoys me. I guess it's a horse that's ridden that way, but they just, jockeys that have no thought of the tempo in races, they just, you know, go back and look for cover no matter what. You can see here, like, he keeps dragging him back for another 400 metres just so that he gets in the back of horse. Like, he could have sat on the back of Kintyre 5 lengths closer, and he literally grabs hold of him in a second, drags him back. Like, here he goes, like forcibly trying to drag the horse back in behind horses. He would have literally been better off sitting 6 wide, no cover, and 5 lengths closer than where he ends up. But, yeah, an ugly run race. Fearson gets going. Kintyre gets going with him, so he's 4 wide, no cover the whole way. Kintyre. McHale's back there smoking its pipe. Anyone we talked about pre-race, he was about 5 or 6 kilos under the weight scale here, so he should have carried 5 or 6 kilos less than what he carried here. That's why they hammered him with the benchmark. I don't agree with that either. As you can sort of see, there's a lot gone right for this horse to beat this class of horse, and then they've hammered him with 19 benchmark points, so that's 8.5 kilos. I really don't see the point in it. Now it's like a 90-something rater, isn't it? I'll have a look in a sec. It's some crazy ratings jump, which is just stupid for mine. The problem is the trainers kind of know it when they put it in the race. So it went from an 83 to a 99. And 99 is the provisional. It's just insane. 8.5 kilos. So now it's basically got to be a weight for age horse or an Epsom handicap horse. It's crazy. It's crazy. 16 points, 8 kilos. Completely insane. And they just don't take that into account that it wasn't a high-class race. Like, look at it. There's 2 lengths between 10 horses here. Half of them held up. These guys out the back have had to come off a slow tempo. They're saving ground. Scarlet Oak hasn't finished the course. What do you do with this race? Freedom Rally's gone poorly. Everything's got danger signs that this race is really scary. Felix Majestic's kicked away at 50 to 1 after getting the softest run of all time, and you somehow get a 19-point penalty. It's just, they're not using any sort of brains. How you can see why I got a bit excited there at the 200 when it's let down the way it has, and then Gringotts has finished off like a rocket. Amenable's kind of got going late, but I think it was a kitchen sink job. Got back a bit further than they probably wanted to. A little bit unlucky, but I'd be scared of being too positive and Amenable. Rustic Steel ran a cheeky little race up the fence. This horse just had an absolute barrier trial, complete joke, waste of time. Kintyre was arguably the run of the race. Stuck 3 and 4 wide, got keen when that camel came around. Fearson came around and sort of got it going, and he stuck on quite well, I thought. I think arguably it was the run of the race, and it could bob up in an Epsom or something like that for sure. Draws a gate. Kintyre's a definite scary horse going forward. Gringotts, huge. What did they give Gringotts? Just for shits and giggles. So Gringotts before that was 100 rater, was it? And they gave it 3. Was it 102? It was a 99. They gave it 3 for running second. So it goes from a 99. The other one was an 86 to 102, and the other one goes from 83 to 99. Anyway, doesn't make sense. What do you do with Special Oak? I don't know what to do with Scarlet Oak. I don't know. I just laugh that they come out and say, well, number 1, it was lame. Number 2, it might be a wet tracker. Horse doesn't go that bad. Having the run this horse had and the way it was travelling, it's sort of the way it trialled, everything it did, horses just don't go this bad without an issue. And when the betting suggests that they knew it was going to happen, it's very scary for me. I don't know. I don't think they've ordered a trial. I think they've just ordered a veterinary certificate. I don't know what to do with it. So Gotch is exactly the same, in another race. Yeah, I don't think, but Paul's just said that stable doesn't use Rachel much. I think it was a bit of an afterthought down in the weights. I don't really thought they thought it was a genuine winning chance. Maybe they were just throwing it in, hoping to jag a win, and if it wins, it gets in the Epsom and everyone's happy. And that's basically what's happened. I don't think it's a headline horse in their stable that they really cared about. It was just right place, right time. I'm happy they sort of kept the blinkers on it. That's the only reason I liked it. I thought it was interesting that it resumed with blinkers on, and it was just a silly price. So we just got lucky there. Anyone who backed it, very, very sick for if you're on Gringotts. Definitely should have been collecting. And Kintyre is probably the horse of most interest for me going forward. Yeah, Gringotts is... Well, he's just a super professional and has got the big dance ticket, as Paul said. So, yeah, Waller is away for age. King. Yeah. So that's that race. Yeah, I think Gringotts is very dangerous. Whatever goes in, and Kintyre. This guy, I think he needs a mile and a fast tempo. So, maybe in Epsom he can be competitive, but he's going to be like Chair Wolf, really strong, forgiving of Cafe Millennium. Rustic Steel's very hard to place now. Yeah, the rest, Emma was okay. Fearless Majestic was flattered, obviously. Still can't believe Cepheus died. It's definitely dead. These races are a bit more straightforward. We'll head through them quickly. So just a complete jog and trot. You wanted to change the tactics on Autumn Glow for me to be taking the super short odds. You knew when the Benny came that it was a big option, of a big chance of happening. I thought there was no chance of tactics, but when they were taking the 220 and the 180 or whatever, you assumed that they were going to come out positive. One would assume that a good jockey was always going to do that, given the map, that he was going to try and be positive. If someone else wanted to go, he would let them, and maybe him being positive would do one of two things: provoke a reaction from someone else to push forward and put some tempo into the race, or they would just sort of let him go. And when Manal was the one that led, and Autumn Glow was the one that sat outside it, it was race over. They go ridiculously slow. It's like 11 lengths slow to the 800, slow down to 14 lengths slow to the 600. So there was just no one with any inkling of how slow they were going. I don't think, or just didn't want to risk their chance, and it was just not competitive race, basically. Elmore Zillow, strangest rider selection of all time, but it was the horse I thought they might give a dig to, but didn't really jump well enough to do so, I don't think, did it? No, it sort of come out on the back foot, which it has a little bit. It's lost its early speed, just sort of hopped in the air. Taken straight back to last. It was not really surprising. Jockey change there. He's a bit one-dimensional, so he was never going to really make a play. Furno's Cube was disappointing. Snow in May was really good. She didn't jump great and then didn't muster. It's just an interesting horse going forward for sure. More Territory's not suited by the sit sprint. Elmore Zillow was really good late. They were all good. Yeah, I have seen a few people say that this horse has had every chance, everything go its way, every start, Autumn Glow, and that's probably right to a certain degree, but it's also a horse in its first prep that's just going from strength to strength. I just love every time I watch a parade. It just looks like a professional that's been doing it for 10 years. She doesn't look the finished article physically, but she just looks like she's got endless upside. I love her action. I love the way she lengthens. I think that she never got near a top here. I love that she put sit sprinters away very easily in a sit sprint race. So how are they going to beat her out to a mile? I do concede that Snowy May was really good late, and there was a few others that were very good late, but I do think that the most pace-affected horse in the race was the winner. Just going off everything I've seen from her, I think a slow run race is to her detriment. The ride obviously offset that a little bit, and Snowy May's held up a little bit behind here in the red. El Morzillo's a little bit held up back here, the grey. But pretty much they all had clean room to move and real room to build, and I just think, she's going through her gears here. We've seen her not hit flat spots, but definitely sort of build and build. And then McDonald sort of shuts her down with 50 to go, and she just sort of pricks her ears. And yeah, I thought she was pretty dominant. I don't think they'll beat her in the flight stakes if she shows up in similar form personally. That's no genius thing to say. I just think she's one of the better fillies I've seen for a long time. Snowy May really lightly raced. Got a bit of sense of timing about her that she's going to run well in a flight. She looks like she's going to run a mile out. I think More Territory's run a mile out. Not 100% sold Amina will. I think El Mozilla will, if it draws a gate and gets a rider change, it can sort of run into the placings also. Yeah, but I think she's pretty special. I think they'll win the flight, put her away, and next time in the spring we'll see a pretty good horse. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully that's how it plays out. I was not surprised Snowy May measured up, especially from the inside draw and the way the race was going to be run, but she definitely probably went a little bit better than I thought. Old King, on anyone who's in the other Discord or sees him on Twitter, I think he backed her for the place, so he was keen to be with her. She went really well at Newcastle, wherever it was, and I just think it was a race where there's not a lot between the rest of them. There was really no second pick, so it made sense that a horse on the up could do what she did and run really well, because I think they're good horses, but they're not great horses behind. I think Manal sort of found her level, and so have the rest. Autumn Glow's definitely got huge upside, and so does Snowy May, to be honest. So didn't surprise me. This race, it's hard to say that when they go out that 8 lengths, 9 lengths below standard to the 800, that everything's going according to plan to a favourite. But as soon as Royal Patronage missed the start, well, the danger to me should have been Zugotcha, but Zugotcha was so soft in betting, not as soft as Scarlet Glow, but I think it got to like $7 plus on Betfair. That sort of said it was in a bit of trouble. And then Major Bill sort of left in front, Detonated Jack, and Maya Brown ran a good race, but they're pretty one-pace sort of horses. So you knew as soon as Royal Patronage was back with it and going to give it the trail up that, the rest of the field were in a lot of trouble. It was a soft win, but she's an interesting horse, Fangirl. She's so hard for me to like. She wins off these slow tempos all the time. 9, 10 lengths below, 10 lengths below, a length and a half below in a 1,400 metres first up. Where J-Mac rode her, 13 lengths below to the 600, she wins off, half length below, 3 lengths below. She's only ever won off a fast-ish tempo once, and that was at Flemington. She just thrives off these slow tempos, even tempo at Goulburn when she won. She just thrives off them. So everything really did go according to plan. She obviously can rip home an insane last 800, 600. She's a very, very good horse, but yeah, everything went away here. She was well backed, and again, that betting was spot on a couple of Waller runners here. In Zugotcha having probably the run of the race and gone at the 400 metre mark, and Fangirl was heavily backed and won accordingly. And yeah, that was probably the thing that went her way the most. I think if Royal Patronage had have led, then maybe she would have struggled to run him down, but all hypotheticals now. I just think it was played into her hands completely. Bit of a nothing race, but she's such a good horse that she's going to be hard to beat wherever she goes. Just a bit of a nothing race. So yeah, I think this is the best possible outcome. Royal Patronage sort of giving her a tag into the race. There wasn't really anything back here like Hinged or what's that thing that won at 100s? it was never going to give her a tag up. So not only Royal Patronage sort of hurting itself not being up on speed, but being the one to drag it into the race was obviously another big positive for Fangirl, and I think really helped her sort of get into the race. So yeah, she's just got that awesome turn of foot that we know she's got. Gotcha going backwards. Royal Patronage missing the start, forced to sort of come around, drag her up, and these guys are all pretty limited. My Oberon's a very good horse, and she's just better. But I'm no big fan of sort of Major Bill or Detonator Jack, really. I think they're pretty limited, so I don't know what you do with this form. I don't want to do the race. Where does Royal Patronage go? Probably to an Epsom now. She goes to a Wait for Age somewhere for sure, and she'll run well. Homemade bred for an Oaks on paper. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It'll be interesting to see which way they go with her. Is Cube going to be solid? Not sold. The shorts, another pretty boring race, I thought. Pretty even tempo. Winner just mapped to have that run. Second horse, I thought, was the knockout in the race and performed accordingly. Third fastest last 200 of the day. Private Eye was given another sore back, just dragged out of the race and given none. He ran a very strong last 200. Lady of Camelot, probably jury's out on her. She ran okay. Who else? Dragonstone's the horse that's sort of freaking me out here, just holding these horses together, and even Way to the Stars sort of was there for a long way. So I'm a little bit concerned about the depth of all the sprinting form. Personally, if I had to pick a horse out of the race going forward to win an Everest, it'd be Steffi Magnetica, just because I think she's got a bit more of depth to her, as in fast run race, she could draw a gate and settle closer and be very dangerous. Whereas I think IME, this is like the best you could absolutely. This is as good as she's got. 2 runs in a row, absolutely. But what she's got is that tactical speed that a lot of them don't have. So I think she'll definitely be in the Everest. Who cares? We'll worry about it later when we get the full field. But I probably Private Eye probably gets a start too. Yeah, anyway, so good ride from Zach. Steffi Magnetica had eyes for the fence. He sort of gave him a start, and had eyes to get back to the inside. Rode it for luck, which is the only way he's sort of going to be in the finish, and sustained a really long run. Another typical great ride from J-Mac, just sort of letting the speed go, letting this horse relax, get through its gears, and she is hitting the line better than I think probably in previous preps, but she's been given 2 great rides, had 2 perfect runs in transit. Again, that's the beauty of her racing style. So it's not as if it's luck, it's just how she races. Steffi Magnetic gets in the inside runs and probably should have won, but you're not entitled to get clear running from where she was and all the way to the line. So yeah, like you've got our Kobe son here, Dragonstone, Lady of Camelot, jury out, Private Eye set a task. Marzu's been gone for longer than me. Yeah, it's just like, what is this form? Is it really Everest form? Probably is this year, but that's pretty embarrassing, isn't it? I don't know. Mumbai Muse, she's going okay too. Just bunch margins. Pretty steady horses. Cabot not going well. Coal Crusher first up. Like, I don't know. If this is Everest form, it's pretty sad. But she's got a bit of X factor, Steffi Magnetica. So if I had to take one out of the race to go to the Everest, for me, it'd be her, clearly. Not many slots left for ones that don't own a slot. And I agree with that, what Paul said there. They're getting like Coolmore's going to make a decision between their own horses. Godolphin's got a few horses to choose from. Yulong's got a few horses to choose from. You know, I'm assuming Bustling won't run, so it'll need to be replaced. But who's going to take these slots? It's a pretty steady race, right? Well, I think I saw them come out and defend him on Twitter saying, you know, everyone's blowing up about the ride, and what if you go forward, it gets beat further. I don't know. Will Traffic Warden go to the Everest? I don't know. I think it's more of a miler, but maybe it will. Maybe it will. And then the last is, again, a bit of a nothing race. I thought pretty steady tempo. They went slow, 4 lengths below. They don't quicken from the 8 to the 6 and then come home 4 lengths above. So pretty much an impossible task for anything from back in the field. Moravia had the perfect run, always shown a bit of promise. I don't think the form's anything super. Rayakoki led and run second. Dalalat, another really good run. Flashing Home, Battleton really good again. Kaboo really poor. Atmospheric Rock coming out of highway grade went okay, and so was Melody again. What is this form? It is what it is. They love putting these benchmark whatever races at the end of the day, and this is just another one of them. Moravia can go on. It was sort of second up, 1,000 to 1,200, pretty dominant. It can graduate to a little bit better grade than this, but it's probably the only horse I think that can. Yeah, like Dalalat form to me is like nearly midway form. So, and it's sort of been caught wide there and ends up finding a decent spot. But yeah, it's pretty. I don't know. It's like PR of PRs. The old perfect run Moravia here. The leaders, as I said, had full control. Run second. Kaboo's just. I don't think we'll see it race in Sydney too many more times, to be honest. Atmospheric Rots had a nice run back on the inside. And this is sort of Dalalat. These horses are the ones that fight out the finish, and Battleton was taken back from that mid-draw and runs home well. But yeah, they're all going okay. They can all measure up in similar races like this. Maybe Moravia can graduate to slightly better, but it's probably the only one, I think. I think the rest have sort of found their mark at this grade. And even then, like, Moravia is not really, like, it looks soft, but is it? It's running away from one horse. These two guys are closing on it. It's had the best run you've ever seen. Yeah, I don't know. I'd just be wary about everything here. Yeah. I don't trust this race. Morning to Glory, maybe. Yeah, looking around. Well, that form sort of showed itself up too, didn't it? Like Lady of Camelot was given a bitty sore back behind Mornington Glory and then was beaten 3, and not too many excuses. Go back every J-Mac Quaddy League to get TCM in the Jock Challenge, only not to get... Yeah, I wish he did. Why didn't he ride there? Why didn't he take the all-up? At least I would have felt better. I don't know what the all-up was. What was it, like 320? Was it the quaddy paid like $35 or something, didn't it? Or something similar? About as short as you could possibly have. Just bring the Caulfield sheet up. So Caulfield, what happened there? So that's interesting. Buckaroo's race went 15 lengths above standard to the 800. They went 1,000 miles an hour. The Underwood Stakes. Angel Capital's race went steady. Kundalini's race went steady. That looks right. Positivity's race went a little bit fast. Another Will went quick. It was obviously dominant. Very good there. Lilac's race went really slow. Came home slow. Very poor race. Doesn't make that make sense. Jimmy Star's win was solid. Buckaroo's win was solid, but had the race put on for it completely. Angel Capital. So that's that Guineas prelude. Just talking about sort of Caulfield Guineas, like it was a good win because it got stood on its head about here. So this is Angel Capital here and stood on its head and forced back to the inside, whereas the rest are all in the perfect spots and got to the right part of the track. Angel Capital sort of held up back inside here, goes back to, I think, was the worst ground for sure. Whereas, you know, I wanted this horse to win Private Life personally, but yeah, I think it's the only horse in the race I could really take seriously going forward. This horse is worth keeping an eye on. Depth of character first up. I don't see these horses troubling a Guineas. Maybe this horse could. I definitely think it should have won by further. Kundalini's race was crap. Buckaroo's race was ugly with that favourite. Another Will was great, getting knocked over. Jimmy Star. There's obviously some merit in Jimmy Star, but I think he sort of swooped down the right part as well. I've got no idea what Buckaroo's doing. I highly doubt it'd be a Metrop. I doubt it'll go 1,800 to 2,400. They'll probably stick to weight for age races now. It'll probably run against Via Sistina and Elias or whatever it is in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I think they didn't know what I think it's going a lot better than what they expected to be honest. Look at these races, a million of them coming up this week. What did I do with that screen? I shut it? I must have shut it. Bring another one up. I can't look at admitteds race right now. No, I'm going to focus on the feature races, but futures. So Manicato, I wish I win $4. Growing Empire. Yeah, I straight away, like, this to me is not a race that I want to have. This is final field barriers. I don't care about the race until I see it. There's just too much to worry about once you've got to see. They haven't got the fields out yet, have they? No. Weights only. Yeah, you need to see barrier draws and final fields here. I can't see anything that, you know, you could back potentially any sort of price that warrants wanting to chime in. I wish I win's interesting. Growing Empire's interesting. Hyasugi was great the other day. Estrella, a complete forgive, interesting, but still wasn't super the other day. V8. Yeah, so I don't think this is a race I could be bothered betting into early at all. I want to wait and see what lines up, gates, draws, conditions, everything. This is a race I'm happy to wait and have a look at. Sorry, just got home. What are you doing now? We placed a carousel. I don't know what to do with it. I know the stable was really happy with it. I laughed that I saw that some people made it pick of the yard when it clearly didn't parade great, and then sort of melted down, lost a plate, everything that could go wrong did, and then sort of half-travelled but wasn't in the right spot, then sort of forced back to the inside and went terribly. So I don't know what to do with that horse, but it's probably not going to find a race next time out, placed a carousel, where I'm going to take it too seriously. It's probably going to find a harder race, if anything. And obviously it was a really fast-run race there too, which is, you know, placed a paramount on fitness. And if she spent a lot of energy prior to the race there and done a lot wrong, you know, when they've gone hard, it was always going to take its toll on her more being first up. So you've got to be forgiving, but wary, I think. Fee and Stakes, another race I just have no interest in here. Pride of Jenny versus Mr. Brightside at even money, take your pick. Yeah, she obviously went a lot better, but did have things in her favour the other day. I thought he was really good, chased hard. I thought he was excellent. You know, in isolation, I couldn't have her shorter than him off that. But, yeah, I'm happy to wait and see there, I think. Scarborough Stakes. Don't even know what that is. Stock Stakes. Grinzinger Bell was great the other day. Alsafina. Osmose. Osmose is interesting. Good fresh horse. I wonder if Tim is going down for this meeting. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him. Running by. Very average. Stock Stakes. Stud Stakes. Geez, hasn't the wheels fallen off the Stud Stakes over the last few years? Handline. Dawn Service definitely had everything in its favour the other day. I wouldn't be chiming into $2.50 yet unless everything lines up. Doesn't look anything too exciting there. Am I missing anything? Trav Unit is right up, so the tissue might go to the stocks. It would be dangerous there. It would be dangerous there. That's Friday night's Golden Rose. Here we go. Broadsiding first up is 2-1 favourite. That really does surprise me. Obviously trialled like a rocket, but that to me seems ridiculous. I think Storm Boy's going to run really well. I think Lineback is going to run really well. I think Traffic Warden's a different horse physically. Yeah, broadsiding, that seems insane. That seems insane. 2-1 favourite without a barrier draw, without anything. Seems insane. I wonder who rides Storm Boy. I don't think there's been much said. Hopefully Adam does keep the ride. Just a victim of circumstance, a bit of a brain explosion last time for sure. Horse can improve. Linebacker was given just a barrier trial. A node went really well there. I don't know how it can be $15. That seems a big price in comparison to the others as well. I don't think there was any fluke in its run. Emirates went great. Yeah, great race, but there's nothing there I can see that, like, they're short enough, aren't they? And Linebacker's probably short enough to not want to chime in and just wait and see. I just think broadsiding 2-1 is very, very short. Didn't Griff win? It did. God bless it. And then it won, then it ran well, and then hasn't finished the course basically since, has it? That form's been pretty steady, all of it. Colin Stevens, Unusual Legacy's a good horse. Strathroy's a good horse. Changing the guard. Methuselah, Jesus Christ, look at these horses. Man Zoyce, our favourite old horse. Man Zoyce, Cap Pampledino. It's an interesting horse. It's huge class rise, but geez, not, Tim set it a task. It's been set a task at every start. I thought it went huge the other day, Campbell-Dino. So it's an interesting horse for me at $15. But Unusual Legacy is the one with the upside for sure. Golden Rose win first up sounds rare. I thought Trapeze Artist won first up. We checked it, he was second up. He was, yeah. Trapeze Artist was a good one. That was where Tim got offered the ride on Trapeze Artist and got offered to ride one of Harron's. Yeah, I'll never live that down. I haven't spoken to anyone about the 2-year-old trials at all. Been too busy. Haven't even got a chance to look at them. Got sent a few messages, but I'm usually down there to watch them. Usually love it, but didn't get a chance today. But I'll have a good look at them and I'll report back. Golden Pendant, Amelia's Jewel versus. So what's this? I'm assuming it's a 1400, is it? So it's a, what is it? Set weights penalties. So Jolly Star's got to carry 58. Amelia's Jewel's got to carry 58. Channel Lightning 58. Samana. I'm a victim of Samana. I just love this horse. Lekvart first up's an interesting horse. But probably not a Rosehill horse. Fine words. Private Legacy. Arctic Glamour. Only $15. Lekvart probably flattens me a little bit. Yeah. It's probably very well set up, Jolly Star, but 58 kilos, $1.90. Heritage Stakes, Gatsby's Bodyguard. Gatsby's a little bit disappointing last time, wasn't it? Bodyguard Bustling, here we go. So he's our, how far is this race? Heritage Stakes is, I thought it was further than 1100. It's 1100. Ikasara, High Octane, Adult. So there should be a gap here. There's not really. Gee, that's a weak race for a Heritage. High Octane's interesting. I'd have to have another look at how it went the other day. Bustling went so poorly. Geez, there's nothing there that sort of stands out. Is there? 58.5. Bodyguard's got to carry. Bustling's got to carry 59. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an upset there, but you have to sort of delve into it a bit more. There's no horse that I'm waiting for or looking for there. Shannon Stakes. Bases Loaded had its chance the other day, went good. Celestial Legend went fine. How far is this? 14 or 1500? Shannon Stakes. 1500. 59 kilos, Celestial Legend. Bases Loaded, 55. New Energy and More Victorious has just gone too slow its last couple of starts, but it's still been plain. Democracy Manifest back market, don't care. Geez, not a big fan of Bases Loaded. Celestial Legend, $4.50. What price they put up? $8 into $4.50. $8 Celestial Legend was wrong. It's the best horse there. Dead Set had a barrier trial the other day, like full-blown barrier trial. There's not much down there that's scary. Why would they have Madatsu coming back to that sort of distance? Punch Lane was terrible the other day. Osipenko. Terrible, terrible. Radina. Jeez. $8 Celestial Legend was just wrong. I would have been taking that if I saw it. Sandown Stakes. The Mighty Craig Castle. Not much there. Harrowfield Stud Plate. Mustang Valley. Ugh, I don't know these horses. Anything else to look at? They need to put Collet on Samana. Yeah, I agree. If it gets a jockey change Samana, it's a horse that I could definitely back to beat those horses with a weight swing. What's it got? Gets 3 kilos off them. I could back Samana to beat those horses. I agree. How good's Bonita Queen? Not much good. Very, very, very fast but weak. I think she'll find her grade pretty quick. Tyler Road Man's Voice poorly at Wyong. It was a 6 sprint race. Yeah, it's just Man's Voice is another one of these Waller horses. You just drive yourself going crazy, right? Last favourite at Warwick Farm. Why have I got 3 black bookers at Dubin? Effie's Joy, Black Assassin. I was supposed to run today, and Naval Trader. I've got more black bookers at Who's the favourite? Have I got to look that up as well? Pop, 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 pop. Oh, Extremely Hardies. This is the thing that Tim rode that went like a rocket, wasn't it? Tim's riding it. 14 of 14, yeah. I don't know what happened that debut when it went like an absolute jet and they put Tim on it, because it was certainly not normal for them to put him on a horse that went like that. Heavy 10 first start in a race. Holy cow, it's very, very scary. Like coming off a heavy 10 win, even though it went like an absolute jet. I haven't watched its trial.
Running 900. Lead extremely the starter. Okay, Lindemann
well, Tim didn't trial it, did he? Jay Collett trialled it.
Then came
Strangled in the trial. Absolutely strangled in the trial. Doesn't look like it's physically developed a lot. Like, just looking at horses around it, it looks like it's not come on a lot physically, and that's not remembering what this horse looked like, but it just looks small. That's a bit of a danger sign. But trialled really well, obviously. Gate 14 around the farm with the rail out 5 metres. Tim on it first up for Waller. Holy cow, that's pretty scary. It's nice that they've left him on it. 55.5. They could have definitely put 56. They definitely could have put McDonald on it. So, is there a lot of speed? There's not a lot of speed. Oh, you could. Old Paulie speed map's got it going straight to the front. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty scary. This is a horse that I had good time for. Opal Fields. Not one the other day. One at Hawkesbury. Feel weary. Miss Coover was the thing that went like a rocket the other day from out the back. Josh riding 55.5. That's interesting. Island Deck, was it the thing that won at 20 to 1? It was. It went like a jet first start. Yeah, I'll worry about that in a few days' time. Do you think Quetta is back off that run, first signs of life for a while? Which race was it in? I do remember it being, was it in Melbourne? It's a good horse, Quetta. Has mad feet issues. I thought Nostalgia went okay the other day. Yeah, when he raced in Melbourne. Yeah, so this race is like scary. I think the track was pretty brutal. Like you had to be running line and run on massive pace assistance for Weta out the back. I think sort of the sting out of the track's not hurtful for him either. Doesn't do anything real quickly, and he's beaten a pack. Like that is horrible. It is a good sign that he's back and sort of hitting the line okay, but come from tailed off, mad pace assistance. Buckaroo's smashed him. He's got past a lot of tired horses late that race closer to the speed. There's like only warning signs on this horse. Like it's from what I mean is that this horse will be well found running second. It'll be well found in betting next time and probably not justified. Like you might get the price that it should be, but that's it. You definitely won't get any value, I wouldn't imagine. Food's ready. Good luck. See you later. Yeah, Johnny. Where's admitted in, mate? Where is it in? Tell me where it's in. I can't just be guessing. That week's end. He's in the. He got a start in the Kosciuszko, didn't he? If you want me to look at admitted, where's it in? Hawkesbury Thursday. I don't even have fields. So you're out of luck. All right. Thanks, guys. Yeah, there was quite a few horses of interest and to follow, I think, out of the Randwick meeting. Mainly out of that Elias race, a couple in that first race, Elmore Zillow. Yeah, they're out, but I haven't downloaded them, so I'll have a look at them later. See you Saturday, and thanks for coming along. These sorts of things, make sure you can email me or whatever you want. Any sort of questions to sort of give me time to prepare any races or horse you want to look at. john@racingwatch.com.au. Twitter, I'm pretty easy to find. So anything you want me to sort of bring up and go through, any questions, any sort of thing about form, we talked about form with the way I use ratings to win, anything like that, yeah, just email me and I'm happy to go through it. Cheers, Paul. Cheers, Philly. Cheers, guys. See you later in the week. What are you prepared to lose today? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.